You can get toned in your 50s, you just need to be smart about it, so listen up. Hello, I'm Steve Tolliday, and for those of you that don't know, getting toned is just simply building muscle and losing fat. So how do we go about this in our, let's say, twilight years? Are you joking? 50 is the new 40 apparently. So let's go over the muscle building aspect first. Right, so first off, you're going to need more recovery time, compared to say your 20s, 30s or even 40s, because you might be doing less workouts overall. So you need to maximise each workout, get the most out of it. So you want to focus more on exercises that give you more bang for your buck. So your compound exercises, things like your squats and deadlifts, bench press, shoulder press, bent over rows, lat pull downs, that kind of thing. So they're using multiple muscles at the same time, as opposed to isolation. Nothing wrong with isolation exercises, but you're only really using one muscle at a time. So favour your compound exercises over your isolation if you're going to pick one over the other. Now, if you're someone that doesn't like using free weights, you can use the resistance machines. They're absolutely fine. Just use the equivalent machine. So instead of using a bench press, just use a chest press. Instead of doing squats, you can do a leg press, things like that. All right, so the next thing you need to do is make sure that you're training hard. So you want to be pushing yourself as much as possible. So for example, if you do say 10 reps on an exercise, but you could do 15, that's not really training hard enough. It's okay when you first start, maybe a couple of weeks or so you could get away with doing that, but once you're up to scratch, you want to make sure you're as close to failure as possible. So you don't want to get to failure on your first set. In fact, you don't even need to go to failure. So failure is basically when you can't do any more reps, but you need to get close. So for example, if you're doing 4 sets, just leave a couple of reps in the tank on your first couple of sets, and then you want to get as close to failure as possible, maybe on your last 2 sets. Be sensible though, if you're using a barbell for say your bench press or a squat, make sure you're doing it inside a rack where you've got safety bars. You don't want to get squished. Now, don't train half-arsed. You've got to give your muscles a reason to grow. So that would be adding more weight, doing more reps, more sets over time. So this is progressive overload, and you need this to build muscle. So for example, if you did a leg workout and you did say 10 reps times 3 sets on all your exercises, okay, let's just assume you're training hard, right, your maximum. The next time you do that leg workout, you want to try and do 11 reps or add a little bit more weight and try and do 10 reps again. If you find your numbers aren't going up, like you can't do any more reps, you can't add any more weight, or if you add more weight, you're doing far less reps. The other thing you can do is more sets. Did I just spit then? The other thing you can do is more sets. There are other factors that can affect your progress. For example, if you're not getting enough sleep, or your nutrition's not on point, you definitely want to prioritise your sleep. You want to get, 7 hours sleep minimum per night if you can. Easier said than done, I know. But if you don't get enough sleep, it's going to really affect your performance in the gym. And I'll talk a little bit more about nutrition in the weight loss section of the video. You also want to try and be as efficient as possible. So maybe incorporate some supersets where you're training opposing muscle groups. So for example, you could do a bench press where you're working your chest, your front delts and your triceps. Okay, you do a set of that, rest a minute or so, then go on to like a predominantly back exercise like a lat pull down, bent over row, seated row, where you're mainly working your back muscles, your biceps and your traps, your mid to lower traps. Then you rest a minute or so again, and then you go back to your chest exercise and just repeat that. Because you're working opposing muscle groups, they're not really affecting each other too much, right? So you should be fine. If you're unfit, you might struggle a little bit with your oxygen levels, okay, depending on how much rest you have in between each set. So if you're sucking for air like this in between each set, then you might need to increase your rest time a little bit and incorporate some cardio into it as well, which brings me to the fat loss part of the video. Now, press the like button for me, would you? That would be great. And while you're there, maybe press the subscribe button as well. That would be awesome. Now, because you're trying to build muscle as well as lose fat, you want to make sure you're not in too much of a calorie deficit. Okay, so I would say, 200 calories a day deficit is probably okay. Depends on how much body fat you have. The more body fat you have, the more you can get away with. Right, so try this. If you're new to exercise, don't adjust your nutrition. Just do your exercise, see how you go for a couple of weeks. If you lose weight, then great, just stick to it. If you're not losing any weight, just reduce your calories a little bit, okay, and just see how you go. Like I say, don't lose more than half a pound to a pound a week. If you find that your numbers in the gym are going down and your weight is dropping too quick, it means you're not consuming enough calories, so you need to up your calories. At least 50% of your calories should be coming from carbs. Carbohydrates are your main source of energy, so make sure you're getting your carbs in. The more energy you have, the more likely you are to train. Okay, the more you train, the more gains you can make. Protein, just have between 0.7 and 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. It is as simple as that. If you weigh 200 pounds, have 140 to 200 grams of protein. Protein will build and repair your muscle. And with your fat, just make sure that at least 15% of your calories are coming from fat. You know, try and make it the healthy fats. So like your oily fish, avocados, nuts, seeds, stuff like that. I know it's a bit boring, but that's what you need really. Make sure you got your fruits and vegetables in there. Drink plenty of fluids. Hydration is definitely important. Not just for exercise and building muscle, that kind of stuff, just in general. See how quick and easy that was? There's no need to overcomplicate things. Resistance training, progressive overload, good nutrition and recovery for building muscle, and just being a slight calorie deficit for losing body fat. Anyway, good luck. Thanks for watching.